All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. Hope things are still going well. And we got one more video to take a look at some of these 2025 college football players that are likely to be 2026 NFL draft prospects. So I'll put it to you that way. Maybe some of these guys don't declare, but look for them to declare for the most part. So we already did the offense a few days ago. We did the defensive line earlier today. Now we're going to do the linebackers, the off-ball linebackers, and the cornerbacks, because those are admittedly less so at the moment because of the play of Drake Thomas. Those are positions I think that Seattle could use a meaningful draft pick at. And one thing to keep in mind is that these two positions are strong in this draft, linebacker and cornerback. This is where you want to be picking. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. Let me tell you, if you're not using Sleeper this year for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen right now. Look at all the great fun stuff you can pick on over there. All kinds of over-unders, pretty much any sport you can imagine. Obviously, we're big fans of football around here. Let's take a look at my entry for this week. I've got Jerry Jeudy going over 34 yards against the Bears. I got Derrick Henry scoring a touchdown against the Bengals. I've got Pat Mahomes going under 241 passing yards against the Chargers. And I have Jason Myers kicking at least 2 field goals against the Colts. So get on over to Sleeper. You can put together an entry just like this. And if you use promo code SBN, you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check them out and test your football knowledge. Okay, so we're going to start with linebacker. Again, I know Ernest Jones on a very reasonable and multi-year contract. Drake Thomas, restricted free agent next year, can be kept for a reasonable price, playing well right now. But the need at linebacker is going to come up sooner rather than later. And this is the draft to get a linebacker, I think. I don't know about next year. I don't know about the year after. If you want a linebacker, you get one in this draft because it's really strong. And this is a position that is not always strong. Like cornerback is kind of always strong now because there are always going to be good corners because teams run the spread and teams need to stop the spread. Linebacker, less common that you get a class like this. So let's start with probably the best performing linebacker this year in TTU's Jacob Rodriguez. So teammate of David Bailey and Romello Height, who we talked about in the previous video. Obviously, he's not the best linebacker in this class, but he is probably the best overall performer. Led the country in tackles, 117, 11 for a loss, and a sack. 4 interceptions, 7 missed fumbles, so he's averaging at least involvement in a turnover pretty much once a game. 4 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles is insane. I don't know if I've seen that in recent memory. 6 passes defensed. Now, there is a cost of doing business here. One of the reasons why he gets so many interceptions is because he gets targeted a lot. And one of the things that comes with him getting so many tackles is he gets so many opportunities to tackle that he misses a lot of tackles. This year, he's had 17 missed tackles, so that's almost 1.5 a game. And he allowed nearly 500 yards in coverage. So there is a downside here, but the production is off the charts. 93.3 PFF grade. You're not going to find better than that in this class. You're just not. Even from the guys that are projected to be top 10 picks. Sonny Styles is at least projected to be a first-round pick, so very compelling here. Sonny Styles, I think, will certainly be a first-round pick this year for Ohio State. 80 tackles, 5 for a loss, which might not sound amazing, but remember, he's sharing the field with Arvell Reese, who is projected to be a top 10 pick. So it's a little bit harder to get in on that. Only half a sack, but 11 pressures, so he was somebody that was able to at least get in the backfield a little bit. 1 interception, 3 passes defensed, forced a fumble this year. and I don't think I need to tell you guys how good Ohio State's defense has been all year. 171 yards allowed in coverage, so he doesn't really get targeted that much. You're talking about less than 15 yards a game. 88.9 PFF grade, so very strong. He's not as covetable as Reese, but I think he had a better year. And I think he did more favors to his draft stock. Next guy is Jake Golday. This is a Cincinnati Bearcat linebacker. Probably going to be a day 3 pick. I think that he is, he's the guy playing behind Dante Corleone and benefiting from what Corleone does. So 105 tackles, so another linebacker with over 100 tackles this year. 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, so really good playmaking in the backfield. 17 pressures, quite good for an off-ball linebacker. 3 passes defensed, forced a fumble, only 9 missed tackles, which isn't terrible given how many tackles he has, and about 200 yards allowed. So, not the greatest. And by the way, the reason why I didn't list any missed tackles for Sonny Styles is because PFF has him literally listed with 0. Like 0 missed tackles all season, which is incredible. So that's why that's not there. But 9 missed tackles on 105 total is pretty good. And 204 yards allowed in coverage is also pretty good, although he benefits from the fact that Cincinnati's not a great team. They're not always playing from ahead, so teams aren't always trying to throw the ball, but still fine. 83.2. CJ Allen, another guy with a shot at being a first-round pick, and don't be shocked if Seattle makes him one of their top targets. CJ Allen of Georgia, he's going to probably go right around that sweet spot where Seattle's first-round pick is probably going to be. 85 tackles, 8 for a loss. So good playmaking, 3.5 sacks, 13 pressures. So he's doing some stuff in the backfield. 4 passes defensed, 2 forced fumbles, so making some plays in coverage, making some plays taking the ball away. 8 missed tackles, which again, I don't think is a capital offense when you have 85 total. 278 yards allowed in coverage is not stellar, but it's also not devastating. 80.3 PFF, so pretty good. Anthony Hill Jr. is going to be our final linebacker. This was probably another first rounder, maybe second rounder, because he didn't finish the strongest, but I still think the talent is very obvious with Anthony Hill Jr. So Texas going to be playing in the playoff, by the way. Well, actually, I forgot if Texas made the playoff or not. That shows how much I'm paying attention because I hate the playoff. 12 teams is dumb. But anyway, Anthony Hill Jr., 69 tackles, which maybe doesn't blow you away, but he's on a defense with a lot of really great players. It's not a Jacob Rodriguez situation where, other than the 2 edge rushers in front of him, there's not a ton going on. 7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 19 pressures. So of these guys we're talking about, probably the best pass rusher. 2 picks, 3 forced fumbles, 3 missed tackles. So keep that in mind here. Yeah, the tackle count isn't super high, but Texas has a good defense, and 3 missed tackles on 69 tackles total is very good. 204 yards allowed, so good, clean there. 73.6 isn't amazing, but it's still very good. And at the end of the day, I think you're drafting him on potential more than production, but the production is still good. I'd still say his production was probably a little bit better than Arvell Reese, as much as Arvell Reese is going to be a top 10 pick in this draft. Okay, so that's it for linebackers. There are some other interesting guys, but those are your tops. Cornerbacks. Some good ones this year. It's a good class. I will say that I don't think it's better or worse than most other modern classes, but you got guys like Mansour Delani, who was phenomenal this year for LSU. Probably the best corner in college football, and he may end up being the highest drafted corner this year. I would certainly take him if he was available to me and I wanted a corner. 45 tackles, 2 picks, 11 passes defensed, 13 catches allowed on 35 targets. And a lot of the games he played, he didn't allow anything. 147 yards allowed, so barely, 12 yards a game? Zero touchdowns allowed. And actually, let me get in front of this right now. Everybody in this segment did not allow a touchdown this season, I believe, in coverage. 5 missed tackles, not the worst, not the greatest. 91 PFF. So really phenomenal player there. Chris Johnson of San Diego State University, another really, really high-level performer this year. 49 tackles, including 3 for a loss. Gave you a little bit as a blitzer off the edge as well, 5 pressures and a sack. 4 interceptions, so taking the ball away. 9 passes defensed, allowed 18 catches on 43 yards. 185 yards allowed in coverage total, so 15 yards a game. 3 missed tackles, very insignificant. 92 PFF grade. So great stuff from Chris Johnson. Probably a second-round pick if I had to guess. This next one is a guy who kind of flew under my radar, but I want to spend a little bit of time on this one because according to most people, he is considered the premier run defender and also probably the premier blitzer of any cornerback in this class. Keontae Scott of Miami, 44 tackles, including 10 for a loss. You're not going to find cornerbacks doing that very often. So if you want a run defender, if you want somebody that's going to come up and be aggressive, that's your guy. 3 sacks, 14 pressures. So that's more than 1 pressure a game on average for Scott. You're not going to find very many cornerbacks who did that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that led the country. Only 1 pick, only 5 passes defensed, but I think he makes up for it in other ways. 1 forced fumble, allowed 24 catches on 37 targets, which isn't amazing, but only 194 yards. That's like 16 yards a game. That's nothing. No problem. No beef there. 10 missed tackles, which is not what you want to see, but remember, he plays the run so aggressively, and he's constantly involved in the backfield trying to bring run carriers down. You're going to miss more tackles because you're putting yourself in that situation. Still a 90.3 PFF grade. Keith Abney, the second cornerback from Arizona State. Not quite up to the standard of some of the guys we just talked about, but still very good and still somebody that I'm looking at as maybe a second-round guy from Arizona State. 36 tackles, 1 for a loss, which was 1 sack. He had 1 sack this year. 2 picks, 12 passes defense, so 1 a game. Forced 2 fumbles. 32 out of 72 catches, so he gets targeted a lot. People throw at him constantly, and less than 50% completion. I'm down with that. 321 yards sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you get targeted 72 times. Like 72 targets, 321 yards. I'm winning. I am winning if I have a corner that is getting targeted that much and giving up that little. 2 missed tackles, so in the grand scheme of things, very little. 86.2 PFF. And final guy who I would consider a top performer at the cornerback position this year would be D'Angelo Ponce of the Hoosiers. We've talked about him a good amount this year. Indiana, the #1 team in the country right now, in part because Ponce has been great. 47 tackles, including 3.5 for a loss. 1 pick, 8 passes defensed. Allows about 50% completion, 24 out of 47. Not the best, but still very good. And 236 yards, which it's not as good as some of the other guys we just talked about, but it's less than 20 yards a game. And 2 completions a game on 4 targets approximately. 2 missed tackles, 85.7 PFF. Like, it's still very good. I know that there's better, but you're not going to find that much better. And Ponce will probably be a top 100 pick. All right, so that's it for the back end, people. Cornerback, very strong this year, but kind of strong in the way that it's strong every year. You do not want to miss this linebacker class if you need a linebacker. These guys are good. You're going to find a guy here that you really like. And that's it, man. That's all I got to say about this year of college football from this perspective. So now we have to kind of synthesize all of this into a big board and analysis, but I'm going to definitely do that in the off season more so. I just wanted to wrap this series up before we completely turn the page. So let me know what you guys think down below. I'll see you guys soon. Go Hawks. Maybe another video later. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Should stream on Twitch. And hope to see you there. See you tomorrow for the Huskies game. And go Hawks.